The explosion happened without warning. 1 second, Asha Nakato was 20 meters down, camera in hand, tracking a tagged juvenile great white shark. The next, a shockwave slammed into her chest like a physical blow, ripping the regulator from her mouth. She looked up. Through the water's surface, she saw flames. Black smoke. Debris raining down like deadly confetti. A yacht. Massive. Sleek. Burning. Her training kicked in before conscious thought. She shot toward the surface, clearing her mask, replacing her regulator. When she broke through, the heat hit her face like a slap. The yacht was already listing, its hull split open, people screaming in the water. That's when she saw him, face down, not moving, drifting away from the chaos. Asha didn't hesitate. She never did. She swam. The smoke burned her throat. Debris floated everywhere. But years of competitive swimming in Kampala, years of diving in rough seas, had prepared her for this moment. She reached him and flipped him over. Young, maybe early 30s, Korean features, expensive suit soaked through. Blood streamed from a gash on his temple. No breathing. Come on, don't you dare. She hooked her arm across his chest and kicked hard toward her research boat. Her muscles screamed. He was dead weight. But she couldn't stop. Wouldn't stop. Because 3 years ago, illegal fishermen using dynamite killed her brother Emmanuel the same way. Explosion. Water. Death. And she'd been too far away to save him. Not this time. She hauled the stranger onto her boat and started compressions. 30 pumps. 2 breaths. Water trickled from his mouth. Breathe. Please breathe. More compressions. Her arms burned, but she kept going. He coughed. Water expelled from his lungs in a violent rush. His eyes opened, unfocused at first, then slowly clearing. When he looked at her, really looked at her, something shifted in the air between them. His eyes were dark, intense, and even half-drowned and bleeding. There was an intelligence in them that made her breath catch. Don't leave. His voice came out rough, barely a whisper. His hand reached up weakly to grab her wrist. Please. I'm not going anywhere, she heard herself say, her hand instinctively covering his. You're safe now. Asha didn't know it then, but she'd just saved the heir to one of Asia's largest shipping empires. She didn't know he was drowning in more ways than one. And she definitely didn't know that saving his life would pull her into a world of criminal conspiracies, dangerous lies, and an impossible situation that would force her to choose between justice and her heart. But she was about to find out. The next morning, Asha's phone exploded with notifications. Her face was everywhere. The photo showed her bent over him on the research boat, hands on his chest, water dripping from her braids, expression fierce with determination. The headline read, Mystery Woman Saves Billionaire Heir Choi Tae-yang in Yacht Explosion. Choi Tae-yang, heir to Choi Maritime Group. The articles called him a playboy. Showed pictures of him at clubs with models, exiting casinos, driving supercars. The tabloids were having a field day. Asha's stomach turned. She didn't save him for publicity. She saved him because that's what you do when someone is drowning. A knock on her door made her jump. Through the peephole, she saw a woman. Mid-30s, professional suit, confident posture. Something about her screamed authority. Asha opened the door with the chain still attached. Can I help you? Dr. Nakato. I'm glad you're home. The woman's English carried a slight French accent. My name is Claudine Dubois. I work for Interpol. May I come in? I have a proposition that I think will interest you. 3 hours later, Asha sat in a coffee shop in Camps Bay, her head spinning. The Choi family wasn't just shipping legitimate cargo. According to Claudine, they were smuggling endangered animals, conflict diamonds, even weapons through their container network. Pangolins, rhino horns, live sharks for the Asian fin trade. Everything Asha dedicated her life to fighting against. The yacht explosion wasn't an accident, Claudine explained, sliding a folder across the table. It was a message from a rival syndicate, but Choi Tae-yang survived, thanks to you. Now his family is concerned. They need new security, someone outside their usual networks, someone who's already proven they can keep him alive. You want me to be his bodyguard? Asha couldn't keep the disbelief out of her voice. I want you to be more than that. I want you to get close to him, gain his trust, help us gather evidence about the family's operations. You have military training from your time with the Ugandan Naval Conservation Unit. You have the perfect cover story. You saved his life. He'll trust you. This is insane. This is justice." Claudine leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "Every pangolin they smuggle, every shark they kill, every animal they traffic brings them millions. Your brother died fighting illegal fishing. This is your chance to take down the people who profit from exactly what killed him." Asha's jaw tightened. Emmanuel's face flashed in her mind. The funeral. The empty promises from authorities that they'd investigate. The way everyone just moved on like his life meant nothing. "There's one more thing," Asha said slowly. "He sent me a note yesterday. An invitation to dinner." Claudine's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. "Perfect. Accept it. Start building the relationship. But remember, Asha, he's not the charming heir you see in the photos. He's part of a criminal empire. Don't forget that." Yet even as Asha nodded, she couldn't forget the look in his eyes when he woke up on her boat. The way he asked her not to leave. She agreed to dinner. And by doing so, she set herself on a collision course with a truth far more complicated than she ever imagined. Now, if you're enjoying this story and you want to see how deep Asha's mission takes her, make sure you've turned on the notification bell after subscribing right now, because things are about to get a lot more intense. T-Yang picked her up at 7 in a vintage Mercedes. He wore simple dark jeans and a white button-down, sleeves rolled to his elbows. When he opened the car door for her, she noticed the bandage on his temple where she'd seen the gash. "You came," he said, and there was genuine relief in his voice. "You asked. I thought you might ghost me. Most people would after the media circus. I'm not most people." He smiled at that, a real smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "No, you're definitely not." He drove them to Observatory, to a small restaurant tucked between a bookshop and a vinyl record store. The sign above the door read, "Kampala Kitchen." Asha stared. "How did you find this place?" I asked around. "Called the Ugandan embassy. They recommended it." He held the door open for her. "I wanted to take you somewhere that felt like home. Or at least closer to it than some fancy steakhouse." Inside, the smell of groundnut stew and matoke made Asha's throat tight. The owner, Mama Joyce, embraced her like a long-lost daughter. "I saw you on the news. You saved that boy's life." Mama Joyce beamed, then turned to T-Yang. "You better treat her right, young man. She's a hero." "I know," T-Yang said quietly, his eyes on Asha. "Believe me, I know." They sat at a corner table. When the food came, he ate with genuine appreciation. "The media thinks I'm dating you for publicity," he said between bites. "My father thinks you're a distraction. My cousin thinks I've lost my mind." He paused, met her eyes. "They're all right except the first one." Asha set down her fork. "I saved your life. That doesn't mean I'm interested in being in it." But her voice wavered slightly. They both heard it. 3 days ago, I was ready to give up on everything," T-Yang said, his voice low and serious. "Then I woke up to you. Since then, I can't stop thinking about 2 things. Why someone tried to kill me, and whether you'll let me see you again after tonight. Someone tried to kill you. The bodyguard instincts Claudine tried to trigger kicked in automatically. The yacht explosion wasn't an accident, but I don't want to talk about that tonight." He leaned forward slightly. "I want to know why a brilliant marine biologist from Uganda is in Cape Town studying sharks instead of anywhere else in the world." Asha's walls went up automatically. "That's personal. So is nearly dying and waking up to a stranger who saved your life. We skipped past small talk the moment you dragged me out of the ocean." She studied him. "Looking for the playboy from the tabloids, the spoiled heir, the criminal Claudine described. But all she saw was a man who looked tired, like he'd been pretending to be someone else for so long he'd almost forgotten who he really was. My brother, she heard herself say. He was a marine conservationist. 3 years ago, illegal fishermen killed him. Dynamite fishing. It destroyed his boat instantly. T-Yang's expression softened. I'm sorry. Everyone says that. But sorry doesn't change anything. So I came here to continue his work, to protect the ocean he loved, to make sure his death meant something. I lost my mother when I was 16. T-Yang's hand moved across the table, not quite touching hers, but close. Everyone told me to move on, to be strong, to take over the family business. But grief doesn't work that way, does it? No, Asha whispered. It doesn't. The air between them felt charged, heavy with shared understanding. He knew loss. Real loss. The kind that carved pieces out of your soul and left scars that never quite healed. They talked for 3 hours. About Uganda and Korea. About the ocean and family expectations. About feeling trapped by other people's definitions of who you should be. Asha found herself laughing at his stories, like the time he accidentally adopted a stray cat at a nightclub and spent the rest of the evening trying to sneak it past security. When he finally drove her home, he walked her to her door, hands in his pockets, looking suddenly uncertain. I know this is crazy, he said. We just met. You probably think I'm some spoiled rich kid who, I don't think that. And she surprised herself by meaning it. The media is going to follow us everywhere if we keep seeing each other. My family is complicated and dangerous. If you're seen with me, your life becomes public property. I shouldn't have asked you to dinner. It was selfish. Then why did you? He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something subtle and expensive. Because when I opened my eyes on that boat and saw you, I felt like I'd been drowning my whole life and you were the first breath of air. Like a man who's been pretending to be someone he's not for a very long time. Asha finished quietly. He froze. Something flickered across his face. Surprise. Recognition. Maybe even relief. They stood there in her doorway, the space between them crackling with tension. He leaned in. She leaned in. Their faces were inches apart. Her phone buzzed. Reality crashed back like a wave. She stepped back, fumbling for her phone. A text from Claudine. Dinner went well? Did you get anything useful? Right. This was a mission, an assignment. I should go inside, Asha said, her voice strained. But you don't want to. His eyes searched hers, reading her conflict. No, I don't, which is exactly why I have to. She went inside and closed the door. On the other side, she heard him stand there for a long moment before his footsteps finally retreated down the stairs. That night, neither of them slept. 2 days later, gunshots shattered the windshield of T. Yang's car outside a restaurant in Greenpoint. He was unhurt, protected by the armored glass, but the message was clear. Someone wanted him dead. Claudine's plan moved forward with frightening speed. Within 48 hours, Asha found herself standing in the lobby of the Choi estate in Camps Bay, signing a contract that made her T. Yang's personal bodyguard. The compound was stunning and terrifying in equal measure. Perched on cliffs overlooking the Atlantic, the main house was all glass and steel and sharp modern lines, security cameras everywhere, armed guards at every entrance. T. Yang's father, Choi Di-hyun, was a man in his 60s with silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. You saved my son's life, he said in perfect English. For that, you have my gratitude. But understand this, Miss Nakato. My family has enemies. Dangerous enemies. If you cannot protect T. Yang, you are useless to me. If you betray us, you will disappear. Am I clear? Crystal, Asha replied, meeting his gaze without flinching. Something that might have been respect flickered in his eyes. Good. Han Sugin will show you to your quarters and begin your training tomorrow morning. Pam, don't be late. The guest house where Asha was staying was 30 meters from the main residence, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. And 30 meters away, T. Yang was in the main house, close enough that she could see the light in what must be his bedroom window. This was going to be harder than she thought. Training with Han Sugin started before dawn. Sugin was a former Korean Special Forces operative, compact and lethal, with scars on her knuckles and a gaze that could cut glass. You think because you swim and dive that you're tough? Let's see. They sparred on the beach as the sun rose. Krav Maga. Brutal. Efficient. Asha held her own. Years of swimming gave her core strength. The naval conservation training Emmanuel made her complete taught her how to fight. Good, Sujin said after the first hour. You don't fight like a bodyguard yet, but you fight like someone who survives. That's more important. They trained every morning. Hand-to-hand combat, weapons handling, threat assessment, how to scan a crowd for danger, how to position yourself to shield a principal. T. Yang watched sometimes, leaning against the terrace railing with his morning coffee. Asha tried not to notice. Tried not to think about how his eyes followed her movements. After the first week, he joined the training. If someone's trying to kill me, I should probably know how to defend myself, he told Sujin. So Asha found herself sparring with him. Every point of contact was electric, his hand on her wrist as she taught him how to break a grip, her legs sweeping his as she demonstrated a takedown. The moment he actually managed to pin her, both of them on the sand, breathing hard, faces inches apart, Sugin's voice cut through the tension. Either kiss or take a break. This tension is unprofessional. They broke apart, both flushed, but the training revealed something unexpected. Yang wasn't faking incompetence. He was good, really good. Where did you learn that move? Asha asked after he executed a perfect counter. Private lessons, he said vaguely. When you grow up in my family, you learn to protect yourself. There was something in his voice that made Asha wonder what else he was hiding. The diving lessons were worse. Or better. Asha couldn't decide. Yang asked her to teach him proper diving techniques. So twice a week, they drove to a private cove south of the city, suited up, and descended into the underwater world. Below the surface, the world went quiet. No surveillance. No guards. No watching eyes. Just the two of them and the rhythm of their breathing. She showed him the coral gardens, the kelp forests where the great whites hunted, the schools of fish that moved like liquid silver. He was a perfect student, focused, careful, respectful. One afternoon, his regulator malfunctioned at 20 meters down. The flow of air stopped suddenly. Asha moved instantly. She swam to him, pulled out her backup regulator and handed it to him. Their faces were inches apart as they shared air. His eyes locked on hers. Even underwater, even in a moment of danger, there was something in his gaze that made her heart race. They ascended slowly, safely. When they surfaced and climbed back onto the boat, he caught her hand. I trust you with my life, he said quietly. I know, she replied, and realized she was starting to trust him too. Which was dangerous, because Claudine's voice was always in her head. He's a criminal, don't forget that. But what if everyone else was the one fooled? 3 weeks into her role as his bodyguard, Asha found a GPS tracker hidden in the lining of her dive bag at 2 a.m. Small, professional, exactly the kind intelligence agencies used. Her blood went cold. Someone was tracking her movements. Claudine, the Choi family, someone else? She left it in place, didn't want to alert whoever was watching. But the discovery changed everything. The next morning, she found Yang in his private study at dawn. The door was ajar, and through it she could see him sitting at his desk, staring at multiple computer screens, his expression intense and focused. Nothing like the carefree playboy the media portrayed. She knocked softly on the doorframe. He looked up, startled, then his expression softened. Asha, you should be sleeping. So should you. Can't. Too much on my mind. She stepped into the study. Expensive art on the walls. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with actual books. The computer screens went dark as she approached, but not before she caught glimpses of shipping manifests and financial records. What's keeping you up? She asked. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. The silence stretched between them. You, he finally said. Everything's about you. Her heart stuttered. Yang, do you feel it too? He stood, crossed to her in 3 steps. Or am I alone in this? It doesn't matter what I feel. I'm your bodyguard. There are boundaries. Forget the boundaries. His voice was rough, almost desperate. Someone tried to kill me. My own family might be behind it. I'm living in a house full of people who would sell me out for the right price. You're the only real thing in my life right now. So tell me, do you feel this too? Asha's carefully constructed walls started to crack. You don't know me. I'm here for a job, Yang. That's all. Liar. He stepped closer. You stayed with me in the hospital for 6 hours after the shooting. You made sure my meals aren't poisoned. You put yourself between me and danger without thinking. That's not just a job. I can't do this. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. You don't understand what you're asking, then help me understand. Why do you pull away every time we get close? The truth tumbled out before she could stop it. Because I'm supposed to be gathering evidence against you. Because I was sent here to spy on you and get proof that you're running criminal operations. Because every moment I spend with you, I'm betraying either you or my mission, and I don't know which betrayal will destroy me more. The silence that followed felt like the moment before a wave crashes. Then T-Yang laughed. Not Krell. Shocked, almost relieved. Oh, thank God. What? What if I told you I'm not who they think I am either? He reached for her hands, held them gently. What if I told you I'm gathering evidence too, against my own family? What if I told you I've been waiting for someone I could trust, and then you pulled me out of the ocean, and I thought maybe she's the one? Asha stared at him. You're lying. You're just saying this because I'm not lying, but I can't prove it. Not yet. Not safely. His thumbs traced circles on her palms. So you have to decide. Do you trust what you've been told about me, or do you trust what you feel when we're together? Every instinct screamed that this was a trap, but her heart believed him. This is insane, she whispered. I know. We could both be betraying each other right now. I know. This will end badly. I know. He cupped her face gently. Kiss me anyway. She did. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate. Months of tension exploding all at once. They kissed like drowning people gasping for air, like this might be their only chance, like they were both terrified of how right it felt. When they finally broke apart, Asha pressed her forehead against his chest. I'm still gathering evidence. I have to know the truth. I know. His arms wrapped around her. And I'll help you. But I need you to promise me something. What? What? When you find out the truth about my family, about what I've been doing, don't run. Stay and fight with me. I don't make promises I can't keep. Then don't promise. His voice was soft. Just stay. Tonight. No missions, no roles. Just us. She stayed. They talked until sunrise. He showed her his encrypted files, evidence he'd been collecting for over a year. Shipping manifests that didn't match cargo weights, financial transfers to shell companies, communications with known smuggling networks. Why? Asha asked, scrolling through the files. Why go against your own family? Because my mother died because of them. His voice was quiet. She found out about the smuggling. Wanted to go to the authorities. My father's business partners arranged an accident. I was 16. I've spent the last 15 years pretending to be the useless Playboy son while building a case that could take them all down. That's why you act like that in public. The parties, the gambling. If they think I'm harmless, they don't watch me as closely. He turned to look at her. You're the first person I've told. The first person I've trusted with this. Why me? Because you saved my life without knowing who I was. Because you look at me and see something real. Because, he trailed off, then said it anyway. Because I'm falling in love with you and I'm tired of lying. Asha's breath caught. Too soon, too fast, too dangerous. But also true. I'm falling too, she admitted. And it scares me. Everyone I love dies, T-Yang. Not this time. He pulled her close. This time we both survive. They fell asleep together on the couch, just holding each other. It was the first peaceful sleep either of them experienced in weeks. The next morning, everything changed. They weren't bodyguard and client anymore. They were partners, allies. They were falling in love in the middle of a war zone. The following weeks became a careful dance. In public, Asha maintained her professional distance. During family dinners and business meetings, she stood behind T-Yang's chair, silent and watchful. But in private, they were something else entirely. They developed a routine. Beach runs at dawn where they could talk without surveillance. Training sessions that gave them an excuse for contact. And diving trips to an underwater cave Asha discovered, the only place they were truly alone. The cave was their sanctuary. 10 meters down, accessible only through a narrow passage in the reef, opening into an air pocket large enough for two people to surface and remove their masks. The walls glowed with bioluminescent algae. They went there twice a week for advanced diving training. In reality, they went there to be themselves. The first time they made love was in that cave, after a car bomb exploded in the compound's parking garage. No one was hurt, but the message was clear. Afterward, floating in the phosphorescent water, T-Yang said, "If something happens to me, nothing's going to happen to you. I won't let it, but if it does, if they succeed, promise me you'll finish this. Take everything I've gathered and bring them down. Stop talking like you're going to die. Promise me, Asha." She kissed him instead of answering. Some promises were too heavy to speak aloud, but maintaining the secret was exhausting. Yang kept up his playboy image in public. She watched him flirt with other women at galas and business dinners, stood there, expressionless, while socialites touched his arm and laughed at his jokes. One night, after a charity auction where he'd been photographed with a Korean actress, Asha confronted him in his study. "I know why you do it. I understand the strategy. But watching you with her tonight," her voice cracked. "I hated every second of it." He crossed to her immediately, pulled her into his arms. "It's an act, Asha. You're the only real thing. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. I know. I'm sorry." He tilted her face up. "Let me make it up to you." He did thoroughly, until she forgot why she'd been angry. But the danger was constant. They nearly got caught twice. Once when Yang's father almost walked in on them kissing in the study. "You're getting too close to the bodyguard," Hyun observed coldly. "She's doing her job. I'm still alive, aren't I?" Yang replied smoothly, his playboy mask sliding back into place. After his father left, Asha was shaking. "We can't keep doing this. We're going to get caught. Then let's finish this." Yang pulled her close. "Get the evidence, take them down, and leave. Together. You'd leave all this? Your family, your wealth, your name? I'd leave everything for you." His eyes were intense. "I already have in every way that matters." The second close call was worse. Vincent, Yang's older cousin who managed the Cape Town operations, caught them emerging from the underwater cave together, clearly having been alone longer than any training session required. Vincent stood on the beach with his arms crossed. "You two are either the bravest or stupidest people I've ever met. Falling in love in the middle of a criminal conspiracy." Yang tensed, moving slightly in front of Asha. "What do you want, Vincent?" Vincent pulled something from his jacket, a badge. "South African Police Service. I want to tell you I'm on your side. I'm undercover SAPS. Have been for 3 years. And I need both of you alive to testify." Asha's hand moved instinctively toward the knife strapped to her ankle. "How do we know you're telling the truth?" "Because I've been watching you two play spy games for weeks and haven't reported it to Uncle Hyun." Vincent's expression was serious. "Because I know Yang's been gathering evidence. Because I know you're working for someone, though I'm betting it's not who you think you are." "What do you mean?" Asha demanded. "Your handler, Claudine Dubois. She's not Interpol. She's Nguyen Syndicate, Vietnamese organized crime. They want to take over the Choi shipping routes. And she's planning to kill you both at the charity gala in 3 days." The world tilted. Asha felt like she was drowning again. "No. She showed me credentials. Fake. Very good fakes, but fake." Vincent pulled out his phone, showed them classified files. Photos of Claudine with no Nguyen associates. Intelligence reports linking her to corporate assassinations across 3 continents. Her brother was killed by the Choi family 5 years ago. This is personal for her. She's going to frame you, Asha, as a lover who helped assassinate Yang for a rival syndicate. The scandal will destroy the Choi family, and in the chaos, Nguyen moves in. Yang's hand found Asha's squeezed tight. "What's the play?" "We expose them. All of them. At the gala. I've got a legitimate NIS contact ready to move, but it's risky, really risky. Nguyen will have shooters there. Uncle Hyun's people will be armed. It could turn into a massacre. Or we run." Asha heard herself say it. "We leave. Tonight. Disappear. And let your brother's killers go free?" Vincent shook his head. "And let my mother's murderers keep operating?" "No. We finish this." Yang turned to Asha. "It's your choice. We can run, be together safe, somewhere they'll never find us. Or we can fight, expose everyone. But you could die. And I can't." His voice cracked. "I can't lose you." Asha thought of Emmanuel, of his last dive, the explosion that killed him, the way authorities called it an accident, and moved on. She thought of every pangolin trafficked, every shark finned, every life destroyed by men who cared only for profit. If we run, your father keeps smuggling. Nguyen keeps operating. And everything we've done means nothing. She gripped his hand tighter. "My brother died because men like your father profit from destruction. We have to fight. You could die. So could you. But I can't live knowing we had the chance to stop this and didn't." Yang pulled her close, pressed his forehead to hers. Then we fight together. And when we survive, she corrected him firmly. When we survive, I want the real thing. I want to wake up with you every morning. I want to build something that matters. I want everything. With you. Then let's make sure we survive. They kissed, and this one was a promise. A commitment. Whatever came next, they were facing it together. The next 3 days were a blur of planning. Vincent brought in Director Park from the real NIS, a woman with steel gray hair and eyes that seen too much. She listened to Yang's evidence, examined Asha's documentation of Claudine's activities, and made a decision. We move at the gala. Full tactical team standing by. But you two have to keep playing your roles until the moment we strike. Claudine can't suspect anything. She already suspects, Asha said. She's been pushing me to get more information about Yang's schedule, his security protocols. She knows I'm holding back. Then give her something, Director Park advised. Feed her the layout of the yacht. Let her think she's winning. Confident people make mistakes. So Asha played her part. She met Claudine in a cafe in Sea Point 2 days before the gala, handed over detailed security plans. Watched Claudine's smile sharpen like a blade. You're doing excellent work, Claudine purred. After this is over, after we've dealt with the Choi problem, there will be more opportunities for someone with your skills. I just want this finished, Asha said, and that at least was true. Soon. Very soon. That night, their last night before the gala, Yang came to her quarters. Knocked softly. She opened the door and he was there, standing in the moonlight. Can't sleep? She asked. Don't want to. Want to spend every minute I can with you before tomorrow. She pulled him inside. They didn't make love, not this time. They just held each other in the darkness, memorizing the feeling of being together, safe, whole. I'm scared, Asha admitted. I haven't been scared like this since the day Emmanuel died. Me too. His arms tightened around her. But I'm more scared of a life without you than I am of dying tomorrow. That's the most ridiculously romantic thing you've ever said. I mean it. I know. That's what makes it ridiculous. She kissed his jaw, his cheek, his lips. I love you. If I don't get a chance to say it tomorrow, I need you to know. I love you. I love you too. So much it feels like drowning and breathing at the same time. They stayed like that until dawn painted the sky pink and gold. Then they separated, became bodyguard and principal again, and prepared for war. Before we get to what happens at the gala, I just want to say thank you for watching this far. If you're invested in Asha and Yang's story and you want to see how this dangerous mission ends, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. The charity gala was held on a massive yacht, the Serenity, anchored in Table Bay with Table Mountain rising behind it. The event was ostensibly raising money for marine conservation while being hosted by people who profited from destroying it. Asha wore a long dress in deep blue, African fabric with intricate patterns, fitted to allow movement but elegant enough to blend with the wealthy crowd. A gift from Yang. Under the dress, strapped to her thigh, was a knife. In her clutch, a small pistol. On Yang's arm. For the first time, they arrived together publicly as a couple. The photographers went wild, if they only knew the truth. Claudine was already aboard, elegant in a black evening gown, her smile cold as she watched them arrive. Dihioi was there too, his expression thunderous at seeing his son publicly with Asha. Vincent maintained his cover, playing the loyal cousin, but his eyes tracked the security positions, noting the UN shooters Claudine smuggled aboard disguised as waitstaff. Director Park's team was in position too, undercover among the guests, among the crew, waiting for the signal. The yacht was beautiful. 3 decks, crystal chandeliers, a live orchestra playing while guests sipped champagne and pretended to care about ocean conservation. Asha did a security sweep, noting exits, counting threats, calculating odds. They weren't good. Yang found her on the upper deck, away from the crowd. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of fire. You look beautiful, he said. You look terrified. I am, but not of dying, of losing you. You won't, she took his hand. Whatever happens, we're in this together. Together, he echoed. Inside, the gala reached its peak. Speeches about conservation, about protecting the ocean, about building a better future. The hypocrisy was suffocating. Then Yang took the stage. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice carrying across the crowded deck. "You're here to support marine conservation, to protect endangered species, to do the right thing." He paused, and Asha saw his mask drop completely. "Which is ironic, considering many of you profit from destroying exactly what you claim to protect." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Hyun stood abruptly. Claudine's hand moved to her purse. "My family's company, Choi Maritime, has been smuggling endangered animals for decades. Pangolins, rhino horns, live sharks for the fin trade. I have proof." Screens around the yacht lit up with documentation. Shipping manifests, financial records, photos of illegal cargo. Everything Yang gathered over years of investigation. "But we're not the only ones. The Nguyen syndicate has been trying to take over our routes, and they sent someone to ensure that happened." His eyes locked on Claudine. "Claudine Dubois, not Interpol. Nguyen syndicate operative, here to kill me and frame my bodyguard as my lover who turned traitor." Claudine's expression didn't change, but her hand came out of her purse holding a gun. "Well," she said calmly, "I suppose we're done pretending. Everything happened at once." Claudine fired. Asha was already moving, pushing Yang down behind the podium as the bullet whizzed past where his head had been. The Nguyen shooters revealed themselves, weapons drawn. Hyun's security opened fire. Guests screamed and stampeded toward exits. Asha rose from behind the podium, her own weapon in hand, and fired twice. One Nguyen shooter down. She grabbed Yang's hand. "Move!" They ran, keeping low, as bullets tore through the elegant decorations. Director Park's team flooded the yacht, NIS tactical officers in full gear engaging the shooters. Vincent appeared beside them, his own weapon drawn, providing cover as they raced toward the stern. "Get to the dive platform," Vincent shouted over the gunfire. "We've got boats waiting." They made it to the stairs, started descending. Behind them, Claudine appeared, her dress torn, blood on her shoulder but her gun steady. "You ruined everything," she screamed, and fired. The bullet caught Yang in the side. He stumbled, blood spreading across his white shirt. Asha's world narrowed to that moment. The man she loved shot, falling. She turned, raised her weapon and fired. Claudine went down, not dead, but incapacitated. NIS officers swarmed past to secure her. But Asha didn't care about any of that. She caught Yang as he collapsed, lowered him to the deck. "No, no, no. Stay with me." Her hands pressed against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "I'm okay," he gasped. "It's not that bad. You're a terrible liar." Tears streamed down her face. More gunfire erupted above them. The yacht shuddered. Somewhere, someone set explosives. The Nguyen syndicate's final play, to sink the evidence along with everyone aboard. "We have to move." Vincent grabbed Asha's arm. "The yacht's going down." Asha looked at Yang, at the blood soaking through her hands, at the chaos around them. Made a decision. "Remember when I taught you to dive? When you said you'd always keep me safe underwater?" "Yeah," he whispered. "My turn." She lifted him, ignoring his protests, ignoring her own exhaustion. Vincent helped her get him to the dive platform. The yacht was listing now, taking on water, alarms screaming. They had seconds, not minutes. Asha didn't hesitate. She wrapped her arms around Yang and dove off the platform with him into the dark water of Table Bay. The cold was shocking. The sound of the sinking yacht above was terrifying. But Asha spent her life in the ocean. This was her element, her territory. She kicked hard, pulling Yang away from the suction of the sinking vessel. He was conscious but fading. Blood clouded the water around them. She needed to stop the bleeding, needed to get him to safety, needed him to survive because a world without him was unthinkable. She surfaced, kept his head above water. A rescue boat was speeding toward them, Director Park at the helm. Strong hands pulled them aboard. Medics immediately went to work on Yang. Asha knelt beside him, still holding his hand. "Don't you dare die on me. Not after everything. Wouldn't dream of it." His smile was weak but real. "You saved me again." We saved each other. Behind them, the Serenity sank beneath the waves in a crescendo of groaning metal and rushing water. On the shore, police lights flashed. News helicopters circled. The biggest takedown in South African organized crime history was playing out in real time. But all Asha cared about was the steady beep of the heart monitor beside her, the feel of T. Yang's hand in hers, the knowledge that they survived. Together. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and bad coffee. Asha sat in the waiting room while T. Yang was in surgery, her dress still damp with seawater and blood. Vincent brought her coffee that she didn't drink. Director Park gave her updates that she barely heard. Di-hyun was arrested, along with 15 other high-ranking members of the Choi organization. Claudine survived and was singing, giving up every UN operative in 3 countries to cut a deal. The evidence T. Yang gathered was solid, airtight. Dozens of arrests were already happening across Asia and Africa. They won, at least legally. But Asha wouldn't feel like they won until T. Yang walked out of that surgery alive. 3 hours later, a doctor emerged. He's stable. The bullet missed major organs. He was lucky. Can I see him? He's asking for you. Asha practically ran to his room. He was pale, bandaged, hooked up to machines, but his eyes were open and clear when she entered. "Hey," he said, his voice rough. "Hey yourself." She took his hand, careful of the IV lines. "You scared me. I scared you. You dove off a sinking yacht with a gunshot victim. That's not exactly standard bodyguard protocol. You're not exactly a standard client." He squeezed her hand. "I love you. I love you too. Which is why if you ever get shot again, I'm killing you myself." He laughed, then winced. "Deal." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just being together, alive, safe. Finally, T. Yang spoke again. "What happens now? Now you recover, testify, help bring down everyone involved in your family's operations. And after?" "After," Asha smiled. "After, we figure it out. Together." "I was thinking," he trailed off, suddenly uncertain. "Thinking what?" "There's a marine research station in Mozambique, Bazaruto Archipelago. They're looking for a new director, and they need funding. I still have access to my personal fortune, the legitimate money. I could invest in the station. You could run it. Continue your brother's work." Asha's throat tightened. "You do that? I'd do anything for you. Besides, I need a project. Something good. Something that actually helps instead of destroys." He met her eyes. "And I need to be wherever you are, because you're my home now." She kissed him, gentle because of his injuries, but full of all the love and gratitude and hope she felt. Okay. Let's go to Mozambique. Let's build something beautiful. Let's have the life we fought for." "Together," he said. "Together," she agreed. 3 months later, Asha stood on a white sand beach in the Bazaruto archipelago, watching the sun paint the Indian Ocean in shades of amber and gold. The research station behind her was small but perfect. State-of-the-art equipment funded by T. Yang's investment. A team of local scientists and conservationists dedicated to protecting the marine environment Emmanuel died defending. She was preparing for a dive to tag whale sharks, checking her equipment one last time when arms wrapped around her from behind. "Morning," T. Yang said, pressing a kiss to her shoulder. "Morning." She leaned back against him. "You're up early. Couldn't sleep." "Nightmares?" "No. Excitement." He turned her around to face him. "I've been thinking." "Dangerous hobby. That's what you always say." He smiled, then dropped to one knee in the sand. Asha's heart stopped. "What are you doing?" "What I should have done weeks ago." He pulled out a ring, simple and beautiful, a pearl set in silver. "I know it soon. I know we've been through trauma and maybe we should wait, but I don't want to wait. I nearly lost you 3 times. Life's too short and too precious. So Asha Nakato, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that I'm worth the risk you took saving me?" Tears streamed down her face. She looked at this man who gave up everything for a chance at something real, who fought beside her, bled for her, chose her over wealth and power and family legacy, who saw her not as a bodyguard or a tool or an asset, but as someone worth building a life with. "You're seriously proposing at 6 a.m. when I'm wearing a wetsuit and haven't had coffee yet? Is that a no?" "That's a you're an idiot, but you're my idiot, and yes, of course, yes." He stood, slipped the ring onto her finger, and kissed her as the sun rose over the ocean they both loved. Behind them, The research station hummed with activity. Ahead of them, a pod of dolphins breached in the shallows. Everything Asha ever wanted was here. Purpose, love, peace, a way to honor Emmanuel's memory while building her own future. And the man who saved her just as surely as she saved him. You know what the media will say? She asked, pulling back to look at him. Billionaire reformed by love of African scientist. They'll make it a fairy tale. Let them. Yang touched his forehead to hers. We know the truth. We saved each other, and we'll keep saving each other, every day, for the rest of our lives. Promise? Promise. They stood there as the sun climbed higher. Two people who survived drowning in more ways than one, who fought their way through lies and violence and impossible odds to find something real. Something worth dying for. Something worth living for. Each other. Later, after the dive, after tagging 3 whale sharks and collecting data that would help protect their breeding grounds, Asha floated on her back in the warm water, looking up at the cloudless sky. Yang floated beside her, their hands linked between them. My brother would have liked you, she said quietly. Yeah. He always said the ocean doesn't care about your money or your name. It only cares if you respect it. If you understand it's bigger than you. She turned her head to look at him. You understand that. You taught me. No, you already knew. You just needed permission to stop pretending you didn't. He was quiet for a moment, then said, I think about my mother sometimes. Wonder what she'd think of all this. Of me destroying the family empire she died trying to expose. She'd be proud, I'm sure of it. And Emmanuel? What would he think of you falling in love with a former crime heir? Asha smiled. He'd give you a hard time, test you, make you prove you're worthy. Then he'd probably take you diving and try to drown you just a little bit to see how you handle it. Sounds like a great guy. He was. You would have been friends. They floated in silence, the ocean holding them gently, the sun warm on their faces. This was peace. This was healing. This was home. Hey, Yang said suddenly, what does your name mean? Asha? She smiled. Life. It means life. Perfect. He squeezed her hand. Because that's what you gave me. Life. Real life. Not the half-existence I was living before, but actual, breathing, terrifying, beautiful life. You gave it back to me too. After Emmanuel died, I was just going through the motions. Surviving but not living. Then I pulled you out of the ocean and everything changed. We saved each other. Yeah, we did. The sun climbed higher. The ocean stretched endlessly in all directions. And two people who found each other in the chaos of drowning and violence and impossible circumstances floated together in perfect peace, knowing that whatever storms came next, they'd face them together. Always together. Because some rescues aren't just about saving a life. Some rescues are about saving each other's souls. And some loves are worth drowning for, as long as you come up for air together. Asha Nakato and Yang came up together. And they never let go. If you made it this far, thank you for being part of Asha and Yang's journey. Their story shows us that sometimes the people we're supposed to destroy become the ones who save us. If you loved this story, subscribe for more Afro-Korean romance stories that'll keep you hooked from start to finish. Don't forget to also like this video, and let me know in the comments what you think about their love story. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.